Okay, if you can introduce yourself and
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ayomide Adebayo from the University of Ibadan, and I will be stepping in for whoever the chairperson is. This panel will be discussing different papers on deconstructing the Igbo apprenticeship model in the 21st century. And we have five presenters here. We have Chia Goziem Daniel Agbo, who is here in person. We have to have Samuel Omanchi, the person online or here. The person is also absent. We hope that they will join us. And also Seth Gledsu, the person online. No. We also have Igwe Buike Okolo.
Igwebike Okolo.
Okay. This presenter is online.
Hello, Catherine. How are you?
Chair and organizer. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, Ma. Yes. Before you came in, someone volunteered to chair, and she was just speaking and done. So please, you can go ahead, Ma. That's okay.
Sorry, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Chair. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Right here. So I was trying to power my stuff and then to get ready to join this. My name is Dr. Ifoma Mumbufo from Kwarafa University, Wukari, Taraba State. Welcome to the session where we'll be discussing the Igbo Apprenticeship model. I don't know if we have some individual presenters in the house.
One question, Ma. Right here.
Yeah.
Do we have any independent presenter in-house, apart from the people who will be presenting virtually?
Yeah, one of the panelists is in person, and he's right here.
Okay, I'd like to start with the in-house panelists before we get the virtual presenters. Please, the first panelist should go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. My name is Chagozim Daniel Abu from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So you can plug it and fit it. That is what that is the goal. Okay. I am looking at Hustle Kingdom, and I'm engaging the Igbo Apprenticeship system via Hustle or through the Hustle Kingdom in Nigerian parlance today. So in this session, we'll look at the Igbo Apprenticeship system briefly, and then what constitutes Hustle Kingdom. A few days ago, I was at the American. The United States Consulate here in Lagos. And when I was there, it was like a dead zone, a dead zone. Everybody was sober, the atmosphere was tense. And you get to see people wanting to go to USA for one reason or the other, they were being denied, rejected. And you find out that one of the reasons for this rejection is none other than the bad name that we've created for ourselves. So I want to use that as a kind of an introduction, the bad name we've created ourselves, and how we continue to work hard to keep up that bad name in a way. So that is what I'm looking at in the Hustle Kingdom. I'm engaging the Igbo apprenticeship system. So the statement of problem here is that the African society is in transition. The theme of the conference talks about people in transition, the culture in transition. And as the day breaks, several aspects of our culture gets to break away. Now, for decades, the Igbo apprenticeship system has been regarded as the biggest business incubator platform in the world. And in fact, it said that even without government interference, the system has been running. And, the scholar said that the government cannot replicate it, they can only confuse it. Without the government, this system, not that it is the only apprenticeship system in the world, but this particular system has been unique for what it has been able to achieve over the years. From a people that were given 20 pounds at the end of the war, they've come a very long way today. However, this system is currently in transition. And that transition is found particularly in internet fraud. Internet fraud. So this paper is interrogating the emergence of the Igbo apprenticeship system or the integration of the Igbo apprenticeship system into internet fraud or internet fraud. Next slide. Now, for my methodology, I use the qualitative method of historical research. I drew my data from oral interviews and secondary sources of historical research, such as journal articles and dissertations. Next slide. So, for the next slide, we are looking at the Igbo apprenticeship system. Like I said, it's a business model, right? And the way it works is it's among the Igbo. Now, a successful trader, a successful businessman, takes up a young boy to train him or her on his business for a certain number of years. The years vary. It could be 5 years, 10 years, 7 years, as the case may be. 7 is actually standard. But sometimes you find a boy that went into apprenticeship at the age of 13. He cannot live at 7. So he has to spend longer. Now, during this period, the young apprentice is expected to live with his master as a servant. He's not only learning the business of the master, he's learning how to live his own life. So he's going to be part of everything happening in that household. If they're fetching water, he will have to fetch water. If cooking, he will have to cook before going to the market or anywhere. He's going to find his primary role to learn the trade. Next slide, please. Now, at the termination of that agreed year, right, the master is expected to settle his young servant by paying his rent, providing him with goods, or giving him a certain amount of money to start up his own business. Because it is believed that after that period of years, I was listening to Cosmo Maduka, he said, if you go through apprenticeship system and you come out fine, you are ready to go in life because you will learn how to be humble. You will learn how to manage money and how to trade. Now, the settlement sum is usually at the discretion of the master. You could decide to, at the discretion of the master will choose how much is settling with you. But some, the master is doing well, you get 20 million. For some, the master is not so big, you get 500,000. It depends on the master. Now, this apprenticeship system was divided by us into 3. You have those that are Igbo boy, the original one, which is the main apprenticeship system. We have the immoral or imoraka, right? And then we have the imwahia. Imwahia is raining now. It's not really the Igbo apprenticeship system, but you go, you learn the trade, you don't live with the master, just learn the trade. He's not settling you, and you walk away. Now, there is something I want to point out. If an apprentice be found wanting in any way, he's being sent home. There is no negotiation. The only thing that can happen is maybe the 2 families coming together and all that. But once the master said, I'm no longer interested, you're leaving his house. And in some scenario, if he decides you're not coming back to that particular market where he is, you are not going to come there. So that is how the Igbo apprenticeship system functions. Now, to this apprenticeship system, maybe it's an argument for another day, that we need to add the Etuoro apprenticeship system, which is where internet fraud comes from. When you meet them, you ask a young boy, what are you doing in life? He tell you that that is in Igbo, that he's throwing jobs. Etuoro, to throw jobs. Yes. Another way to call it, you could say, in fraud parlance, it's called bombing. We'll get to that place later. Bombing. Now, cybercrime. Let's look at cybercrime in Nigeria. Cybercrime is the use of specialized applications in computers with the internet to commit by technically skilled individuals to commit crime, right? Now, these guys are committing crime using the computer and the internet. Over the years, there are many. Okay, let's look at the popular types of the scam schemes we have in Nigeria. The first one we have there is phishing. Phishing is whereby they will remove a letter, an alphabet, a character in a website, and then let's say you're banking with First Bank, And instead of the usual First Bank website, they will do First Bank. Maybe they will not put hyphen somewhere. You will not notice it. What you will do is you click on it, thinking it's your usual First Bank account. You enter your details. The person gets to download it, copy it, and then start scamming you, withdrawing money from your account indiscriminately. That's phishing. Phishing is, yes, it's a kind of cybercrime. Yes, they'll just add something in the link, you know, and they'll be able to be using your to collect your details without you knowing. They did very well with the cryptocurrency and all that. Another one is romantic crimes. Sorry, I should have said the romantic scams. Now, this is where they profess love to a white woman. I love you. Send me money. I'm in distress. This, that. There's also another one I did not add. Some of them claim to be soldiers in distress, right? Another one I didn't add here is the Nigerian prince. He claims he's a prince who have been denied of his throne. He's going back. Please send me money and all that. They also use fake charity NGOs. Fake charity. In one of my interviews, group discussions actually, I got to realize of a young man that scammed an NGO of 500 million naira. So he claimed he's an NGO, that he's into charity, helping the poor. So the foundation decided to support his good work in Africa, not knowing they are supporting his pocket. So they sent him 500 million naira. Now, aside that, you have the scholarship scams. Now, many young Nigerians are looking for scholarships, and it has become a tool for fraud. What they do is they send you a message, you won this scholarship. For you to access it, please send $240. That one is now very obvious. So what they now do is they send you a message, oh, you've won this scholarship, but you need to have a TOEFL. TOEFL is an exam you write over there. But if you don't have a TOEFL, you can easily write this our own that is cheaper than TOEFL. And then when you go to check it, it's cheaper. You will know that it's rubbish. Nobody recognizes it. You send in your maybe $50 or so, and the person is enjoying. Next slide, please. Now let's look at the core thing we're talking about today. Cultural kingdom. This is a cultural kingdom. Now, this is a structure or pattern system that is closely patterned after the Igbo Apprenticeship system that has grown to perpetrate cyber crimes in Nigeria. I don't want to look at where Nigeria is now in terms of ranking in cybercrime, but we know that it is very, very bad, right? Now, the cultural kingdom is established by a successful cyber criminal, just like the Igbo Apprenticeship system, a successful trader comes in. And the role of the trader or master, the role of the trader or master is the role of the successful cyber is to establish the hostile kingdom by renting an apartment. It's mostly a 3-bedroom apartment. For the rich ones, they can rent a duplex. Some of them have multiple duplexes where their boys are living. They will pay the utilities, right? And even the sexual satisfaction of their crime apprentices. They will hire prostitutes for them to come and take it. I had a story of where about 4 girls is living there with them. So whenever any of them has sexual urge, he will go satisfy himself. Now he takes them under his wing and he's paying, he's paying for their welfare. He's taking care of them. He's feeding them. He's teaching them how to scam. Right? If there's any ritual, because many of them are now delving into rituals. Someone I was interviewing said, now I didn't see what you now. Sorry, I'm using Igbo, but that's the language over there. He said, now. So we are not committing crimes. It's no longer internet fraud any longer. We do little ritual. We add small ritual to it. So if there's any ritual involved, the master will take care of the proceedings and all that. Now, the aspiring cyber criminal will reach an agreement and then enter this kingdom. And it's pertinent to note that sometimes it's not just children that just enter into these things. I've had scenarios where parents tell their son, what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to go into cyber crime, or do you want to continue school? Some of them, you send them to school, but a friend of mine, his roommates, I was visiting the roommates. Oh, I came again. Where's the roommate? He said, oh, he has dropped out. What is he doing now? He's now into cyber crime. Unfortunately, his parents are sending him school fees to go and pay. He's not paying them. The parents are sending him upkeep money. He's using them to keep himself in the hustle kingdom where he is learning internet fraud. And the conditions there are not even funny. But I don't want to go delve into that mode. But the conditions that are not funny. You're not meant to come outside. You're meant to be inside, learning and then bombing. I'll get to bombing later. So the fiery cyber criminal will reach an agreement with his or her master and enter the kingdom, right? Where for a certain period of time. Next slide, please. And in that period of time, he will be taught the craft or the art of scamming. And from there, he will begin to test the waters in what is prominently known as bombing. Now, what is bombing? Bombing is when you target a particular country for fraudulent activities. Before now, it has been USA, Canada. Now the boys are moving to Australia. They're now moving to Scandinavia, where the residents are not yet exposed to their activities. So that is bombing. They tell you, oh, we are bombing, and they stay up all night doing this bombing work. They stay up all night. Some of them start out little by defrauding their fellow Nigerians, and then from there they grew to the bigger countries. And in this Hotso kingdom, where it is patterned after the Igbo apprenticeship system, where the Igbo apprenticeship system is in transition, he's meant to turn in a profit after a certain period of time, according to his agreement. During that, when he makes this profit, it's from this profit that the Hotso kingdom master or lord will be able to make his investment and begin to, his investment. And the formula vary, but majority of it, the master is taking about 60 to 80% of whatsoever remains after paying the picker. Who is the picker? The picker is someone who owns an offshore banking account, through which the money will go through, the loader also, through which the money will go through. And they also charge a lot. I heard of, because of the interview, I heard of a young man who scammed about 17 million. By the time the picker was done taking his share and the Hotso kingdom master was done taking his share, nothing was remaining for him. And that's why I pointed out that the kingdom can be very exploitative. And if you go back to our last slide, I pointed out that the words of the master in that kingdom is law. There is no change in it. If he decides that, oh, this is what you're doing today, that's what you will do. It's just like an apprentice. When the master say, oh, we are going to the market by 7 today, he will go to the market by 7. So if the master says that today you are not going anywhere, he's not going anywhere, he's indoors doing what the master said. The aim is to make profits through scam. Now, the kingdom is exploitative because it's expected to also pay for those expenses. Paying, the master from his profits, what should get to the master, is meant to pay for those expenses that were made. So the food he ate, he will calculate it. The number of times he slept with the prostitute or the lady satisfying sexual urge will be calculated for him. And then another expenses, the utilities and all that will be calculated. So most times he will never get rich there. But one thing is certain for him, he's going to get quality training. He's going to get quality training. And with that training, he's now ready to go into the society to start bombing after a period of time. And just like in Igbo boy, where you found the boy, the apprentice wanting, if after a certain period of time he's unable to turn in profit, the Hotso kingdom master will tell him to go. And remember, just like the Igbo apprenticeship, even though it's not backed by any tradition, although they do rituals, the government is not involved in this kind of business. And you'll find that it's very, very rampant. You see somebody renting 3-bedroom flats, he has about 6 of them, and each of this, he has about 9 boys in each flat, and their role is just learn this trade within a period of time, then start your bombing and start turning in profits. And the expiration of that period of time, he's free to go. And with the training he has received, he will now start scamming and start making his own profit. So concluding, it's just very short conclusion. Our country is retrogressing. It's not that we are not moving, we are moving, but we are moving backwards. Every president has a way of being, the former president has a way of being better than the present. I don't know why it's like that in Nigeria. And the issue of fraud, it wasn't the case. In my presentation earlier, I said I didn't want to go deep into some of those things. You find out that certain countries are no longer accepting us. You will go to Dubai, they will tell you these jobs, Nigerians are not invited, please. Okay, Nigerians don't apply. Just yesterday, my lecturer in the university sent me a link that they told a particular Turkey, Ethiopia, they've denied us. They said we can no longer come. Before Nigerians can enter Turkey to spend maybe a few days. No, nothing again. They don't want to have anything to do because of free. They've gotten our apprenticeship system that has been a vehicle of justice, youth, employment system is
Okay.
now being used to strengthen.
Can you please round up?
Okay, I'm doing that. It's now being used to strengthen a system that is actually taking the country into, that is deepening our problem. So what I am looking at, or what my paper is all about, is the transition, the integration of the Igbo apprenticeship system into internet fraud in Nigeria, thereby perpetuating it and even making it stronger. The recruitment is now stronger more than ever. Thank you very much. Next one.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
Please,
you.
subsequently, we will only take 15 minutes, please. 15
Okay.
minutes. So the next person, please go ahead with your presentation. Thank you.
He is the only presenter in person. So maybe you can appoint another person online to.
Okay, can we have Ikwebike Okolo?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Professor Catherine. I really appreciate being here this morning. I'll be engaging on the issue of cultural trade and commerce, Igbo Nwaboye ethics, the limit of neoliberal individualism and post-colonial states in Nigeria. Basically, since after the economic meltdown in the 21st century, the 8 years into 21st century, there was economic meltdown that brought back a lot of issue about market preserving and market expansion, which started a kind of research circle in London School of Economics and alternatively in Weller Institute, London Business School. They were trying to look at how market expand and how market enlarges. And Igbo pattern of trade and market development came to attention that brought about culturing, or rather cultural market behaviors. But there's an issue that is rising, that arose an issue of trying to bring a kind of interpretation that confuses the Igbo system of Nwaboy. I don't so much have a kind of a concept or maybe a terminology that will help me interpret this within the ontology of Igbo per se, but there's a problem that is rising in this issue. There's a kind of essentializing of Igbo institution. Nwaboy is never an ethics in the first place from the way neoliberal economists reasoned it, rather, but it's the social institution that has been age-long. And when we understand it, that we will be able to separate it from the issue of agent-client analysis. Some people are bandying as Nwaboy or Igbo Apprenticeship. And if we take ethnographic data and kind of Afrocentric methodology to engage this, we'll start realizing that this Nwaboy institution hinges on the Igbo deep idea of kingship network in one angle, and this gives interpretation to the issue of estates in Igbo worldview as Ekpatako. I'm having a kind of limitation to be able to give a description to what I'm trying to say, but basically, there's a big issue at the level of substantive and methodological issue about Nwaboy apprenticeship concept in a market preserving analogy that has been so far raised. My issue and my concern is, how do we question this category and how do we understand it from the angle of situated interpretation from Igbo culture and Igbo historical analysis? And this what will bring us deeply back into rethinking Afrocentric field analysis to bring in Igbo philosophy that gives rise to this. And this borders on another issue that I'm engaging, on, excuse me, sorry. Excuse me, sorry. I'm having a kind of mix up. Sorry, I'm having a kind of mix up. Yeah, okay. On the level of substantive issue, yes, market is being expanding within the Igbo circle, and Igbos has found world round on business development, not with state power, not with state sponsor. Oh. There's a kind of disconnect. There's kind of disconnect. Sorry, audience. There's kind of disconnect in what I'm trying to present. Sorry, but my take on the discourse around Igbo apprenticeship model is that the ascendancy through from neoliberal thinking has brought deeply the issue of possessive individualism that's governed microeconomics theorizing and is limiting in understanding the full effect of Igbo system of mentorship and trade learning. If we have to bring culture talk in economics understanding, we have to locate these talks within the culture through which institution we are trying to explain give rise to the phenomenon we are trying to explain. So in this Igbo culture talk and Igbo and Nwaboy talk, there's a kind of essentialization of the Igbos and their trade mentorship system in mainstream discourse that need to be questioned from the angle of Igbo ontology. One boy issue is not necessarily a kind of client-agent affair as apprenticeship conceptualization actually reveals, but it goes deeper into personhood, who becomes one boy and who is in the idea, like in the other aspect explanation of nwa ozo and nna ozo, nwa olu, nwa dibe and oga master. So this defines a kind of rule or a kind of a business law that's beyond Elizabethan thinking of law of contract. Is deeper than that. Is routed through a deep historical drive that has been over 500 years within the Igbo culture area, from the days of the long distance trading and guild development that goes across borders, across pan society borders before the colonial time. And that's why we have the issue of Otonto trade and others during the pre-colonial society, long trade journeys that warrants a man being sworn into a guild, being Nwadibe of big traders that goes across territories. And that's where we have this metaphor of one need the number, or this formulaic understanding, one need the number. Now, between the one boy and one and the concept, it runs deeper into issue of engagement, or rather bondedness, not contract, bondedness that calls for duty, training, and calls for responsibility and remittance of wealth through experience and through cohabiting or through dwelling together. And there's another thing that this gives into market expansion that have not really been captured so well, the issue of signage. It's only in Igbo culture or Igbo pattern of trading or training that a boy will learn under a master. And after then, that same boy can be in the same market trade line, in the same space with his master, peacefully trading together, even collaborating in trade. Is a very unique issue. That's one of the good things they pointed out in London School of Economics, comparing the Igbos with the Jewish concept of signage, trade and signage that the Jews use in developing their wealth in America, linking themselves through a clientele linkage. When they step into a new society, they start trickling their people within their circle. And before you know, they take up a community of trade and they start spreading and growing wealth. Over time, the wealth is accumulated within themselves and they expand without even the state intervention packages in their new found land. So this is a trend that warrants a deeper interpretation for us to understand how to model development in our post-colonial state making, because the issue of development has been anchored on trade, market, and state, following the works of Robert Bates and others from in the 1980s, and the World Bank restructuring of business relations and entrepreneurial drive that has been going on as empowerment packages. If we don't really understand this institution properly as they are, and the social reality we try to interpret from the angle of the ontology of the society that it emerges from, there's going to be always a confusion in trying to bring it to a large scale pan-societal or pan-territorial intervention or engagement or enforcement. And that's what brings me to the issue of talking about developmental state and Nigerian post-colonial state. Fine and good. Nigeria had a civil war in 1967 to 1970, but immediately after the civil war, irrespective of the killing and the political violence in the north, most Igbos were found on the railway trying to go back to the north, and that led to a research by Anthony Douglas, in Poison and Medicine. He came out from his research work, his thesis. I must go back to Kano. Now, this drive of this apprenticeship thrusting out within their territory to beyond territory can be a framework, if well looked into, if well harnessed, can be a framework to pursue the idea of market-preserving democracy. This idea and this business behavior and social system has trusted Igbos beyond their borders. And it can be a very veritable tool if we're harnessed at the state level, at the national level, to create peace. Because when you are making trade beyond your place, brotherhood across borders, that's the idea of one need the number, not necessarily is biologically bonding. And that could be a vehicle to harness a kind of market-preserving federalism. What sustains federalism from beyond the national capacity is how the interstate integrates on economic relation. So if this one boy system, I will want to think it is well harnessed, I think it opens a big vista of development intervention processes in Nigerian national economic planning. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ikwebike Okolo, thank you for this wonderful presentation. Please, may I call on Dr. Samuel Omanchi, Kwara University, Wukari, Taraba State, to start his own presentation. He has 15 minutes to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Catherine. I'm looking at the topic is the delicate dance, dilemmas of Igbo apprenticeship system in Nigeria. What actually we're looking at, the Igbo apprenticeship system, which has contributed immensely to economic growth and job creation, as well as national income, but is plagued with challenges of balancing traditional values with modern advancements, promoting social economic mobilities and addressing gender inclusion and stability. What we try is to look at the dilemmas
Internet is unstable.
through apprenticeship, mentorship, and investment. The model offers economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, social upward mobility, community building, and adaptability. It also fosters self-reliance, higher incomes, and financial security for less privileged individuals. What are the dilemmas then? If it, after all this importance, we look at the dilemma, the first we say it is modernizations and traditional value. If you look at the model, it's prioritized or emphasized more on training over formal education. And this poses as a challenge in balancing traditional values with innovations and adaptability, as it doesn't easily align with modern market demands and creates ambiguities around expectation, duties, and compensations. The next challenge we found is that it is the social and economic mobility of it. The system is confined mostly to limited trades, and these limits career diversification and perpetuating inequalities and expose apprenticeship to exploitation due to expensive entry, traditional male-dominated systems, and a lack of formal contracts. Another problem, challenge we find that is inherent also is a gender and inclusion in the apprenticeship model. The packetry nature of the system has hindered female participation in it or assessing the apprenticeship system. Societal expectations and gender rules discourage women from pursuing male-dominated traits, hindering apprenticeship and leadership positions. Finding ways to equate these has remained a challenge also. And then the last challenge we find inherent is the sustainability and relevance. How can this system stay relevant with a changing system in the world? And we find out that the system lack of formalization of contract limits participation and government support and make it vulnerable to what abuses, hindering growth and adaptability in a changing economy. So how can we solve such issues? One, we can solve such issues by what? Promoting fair practice and transparency. The aim here is that the apprenticeship should what? Create a standard apprenticeship agreement and advocate for government policies to encourage businesses to hire graduates of this apprenticeship model and establish oversight framework. There should be a framework to checkmate this so that it can be a free and fair treatment for both master and apprentice. And enhancing skills development. Number two, skills development and modernization. there should be a curriculum, though there are no physical curriculum, but it's high time the model should have a physical curriculum to incorporate, not only just having a physical curriculum, but it should incorporate digital literacy, marketing and business management skills, and also develop tailored training modules for apprentices and establish scholarship and grants programs for marginalized groups. Third, addressing social and familiar considerations. The aim should be to encourage female. This is to encourage female participate, create mentorship for females, challenge traditional gender roles, and shift focus from trade-specific skills to transferable ones like communication, problem solving, and business management. 4, fostering innovation and adaptation. The aim should be to equip not just to train and settle, but to equip apprentices with skills to adapt to changing economic conditions, and establish robust alumni network for ongoing support and potential business partnership. The Igbo apprenticeship model is crucial too for economic and social development in the Igbo community, promoting practical experience, cultural values, and mentorship. It fosters entrepreneurship, upward mobility, and access to capital. By addressing challenges we'll find out above and implementing this recommended strategy, it can become an inclusive platform for economic empowerment and entrepreneurial spirit. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manchi. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. The next presenter is Barrister Lesu Lim said. He is not, he's also in another conference, and he asked me to present for him. He is writing on provisos, extant laws, and the legality of the Igbo apprenticeship model. So I'll briefly read out the abstract. In a bid to revive the Igbo apprenticeship model, it is of utmost importance to note that a contractual agreement will be tabled between the parties specifying expressly the mutual obligations or duties, which will be binding on all, thus enforceable by law. It is significant to ensure the elements of a contract are satisfied in order to prevent ambiguity, thus leaving room for individual interpretation. Starting with offer and acceptance, the parties involved, that is the master and the apprentice, are to contract to the same terms, conditions, and subject matter. This is to say that there should be a mutual assent between the parties, whereas both parties agree on their expectations and obligations to the contract. Once this is established, a promise will be given to the apprentice in return for his service over the course or period of time. This is referred to as consideration under contract law. This promise could be a property, a sum of money, or opening a fully funded store. The capacity of the parties affects the efficacy of the contract. Giving insight into the meaning of capacity in the context of contract law, capacity denotes one's ability to satisfy the elements required for an individual to enter binding contracts. This means that the parties should be of sound mind, and in the case of the apprentice or his guardian parent, must have reached the legal age, enabling him to fulfill his contractual terms. The entirety of the contract in itself should be in accordance with the law. Under contract law, it is referred to as legality. This would ensure its enforceability in courts and in any other traditional authority council. The elements mentioned and its relations to the apprenticeship model provide legalization and stability towards the success of the contract. It's also worth noting that in circumstances where the apprentice has served for a greater period of year and discharged arbitrarily without any form of compensation, the master shall be held liable, in which case the master shall be required to compensate the said apprentice reasonably. However, where the conduct of the apprentice is said to be out of place or uncalled for, which must be determined by the family of the apprentice and the master, the master will then be at liberty to discharge the apprentice with little or no compensation in case the apprentice has clearly been in breach of the said agreement. Like I said, I'm making this presentation on behalf of Barrister Glesu, said Faculty of Law, University of Ghana, Legon. And so now going straight to the analysis and coming down to our own very level, we already know how this works, how the Igbo apprenticeship model works, whereby an adult, mostly male, picks up a younger boy who, from his parents, and with a promise, which is mostly verbal, to live with him, with his household, or wherever he decides to house him, to learn a trade under him, under specific conditions and for a specified number of years, after which the child is expected to have learned the fundamentals of the trade, and with the financial and material support and sometimes spiritual support of his master, he moves on to start up his own trade. Now, what has been on ground in terms of the contract? It's been mainly verbal. Most of the time, it's either the apprentice is somehow related through the man or his wife to the master, or through some relationship, maybe as neighbors who have lived somewhere, or some form of relationship. And the parents of the apprentice hands over the boy to the master based on trust. Most of the time, there is no written agreement. It is, I will treat him well, don't worry, let him be very obedient. At the end of it all, I'm going to set him up. And he moves on. He moves to the city or wherever he resides with the boy. Now, this does not bring in any bond on any of the parties. So the master can choose to treat the apprentice anyhow he likes. The apprentice can choose to behave in a way that is not right, but at the end of the day, it depends on who is on the losing end. And we can testify that in Igbo land, most of the young boys now do not go into, resort to the Igbo apprenticeship model anymore, because they believe that in so many cases, the masters reneged on their promises after being duly served, sincerely and diligently for the number of years agreed upon. It's either the man purposely sets them up and throws them out of the program and sends them away penniless, or the man suffers a financial restraint, which makes it impossible for him to settle the boy. But whatever is the case, the child spends almost 10 years of his life living with a household, learning a trade, and lives with nothing. The essence of this presentation and this research is to look into ways of bringing legality into this contract so that it will go beyond mere word of mouth, mere promises, verbal promises. And then, if we are saying that the verbal contract has not been successful all these years, what can be the replacement? There could be a contractual agreement. which makes it possible for both the apprentice and the master to be binded by a sense of duty, a sense of obligation, and a legalized document which can be taken to court anytime, which can lead to prosecution and, if possible, imprisonment, should any of the parties renege. Now, we are looking at what the contents should be. Because of constraints of time, this presenter may not be able to specify the exact content of the agreement, but in a nutshell, it should contain the expectations of the master towards his apprentice, both from the home and to the shop, and during the weekends when they may not need to be in the shop. What are the expectations of the master from his apprentice during those number of years? And what should be the expectation of the apprentice himself from his master and his wife and the entire household, including the children? Because it has also come to be noticed that many of the issues between masters and their apprentices also come from intrusion by the family, the wife, the mother-in-law who has come from Mugo, his children, love affair and all that. There are so many things in the mix, which has also brought problems between masters and their apprentices. So the content is going to be very specific and binding. And then there should be some sections where there will be a specification of the number of years that an apprentice can spend, and when things go bad, he should not be sent away empty-handed. There should be a specific amount of money that will be given to him that he can at least start off with. And so the last section of the work is looking at how this law can be enacted, how it can be ingrained into the industrial court of law, and meaning that for every master that comes to pick a boy, both him, his witness, the apprentice, and his own witnesses will have to sign an undertaking and get into a contract. And at any time the contract is ending, everybody who has signed in will also sign out. And what it means is that whatever that's going on between the master and his apprentice is well known by everybody, including a lawyer. In conclusion, the contract which is on ground at the moment is not tenable and is not practicable. It means that it is possible for anybody, any of the parties, to misbehave, to go back or to renege on what is expected of them and get away with it. And then everybody moves on like nothing happened. And like we said, that this has been the story of so many young boys who think that they wasted their years without anything to show for it, just because of a little mistake they are thrown out. And so this work is trying to say that it is possible to create a legalized document which will be binding on both the master and his apprentice and the family members, so that at the end of the day, nobody will be cheated. The recommendations. The presenter is recommending an agreement model that should include the contents of a new contract, which will specify how both the master and his apprentice will treat each other. And we also recommend that this will be passed as a bill or included in the extant laws enforceable by legal means and law enforcement authorities, that industrial courts should be charged with the duty of enforcing the law or trying cases related to it. Also, parents and guardians should be educated on the new agreement through churches, bulk SMS distribution offices, and other social networks. The contribution to knowledge is that the research work is meant to create, to to bring back the glory of the Igbo apprenticeship system by making it a legalized project. And this research work hopes to open up more research pathways into the apprenticeship program as a human endeavor, erupting newer conversations that will further enhance the benefits of the apprenticeship program. Sorry, I hope this is the end of the presentation. I hope I'm not able to present it like I would have done if I were a lawyer, but I hope this made some sense. Thank you. Okay, and then we have the next presenter, Mr. Jacob Angaha. Please, may we have you online? Are you online? Are you joining us?
It's not all of them, and it's not the person. He's
Please,
not
is Mr.
online.
Angaha?
He's not in
Okay,
person.
he's not. Oh, okay. Okay, he's not online. Okay, please, is there any other presenter?
No.
No, it's just one person, and you have presented.
Online.
Okay, somebody online.
People online have presented.
Okay, we may have to take questions now.
It could be the thumbnail of somebody. It could be the thumbnail of somebody, not necessarily. If she's here, we'll be seeing the person in the participant. But the person is not in the participants, not in attendees.
But the person is not online and he's not in person. So,
Who is the person?
But there is no new person.
it's Jacob, Mr. Jacob Sesu Anga.
Okay, he's been struggling, Mr. Jacob. He's been struggling to get online. Okay, let's be taking the questions. Let's be taking the questions and then hope that he will join us soon.
Okay, there's a question from the audience.
Okay.
Mr. Jacob, my question is, we know that apprenticeship program is an informal thing. It's an informal thing. Let's talk about legalizing it. Don't they remove the informal nature of the apprenticeship system? We talk about involving lawyers and all that. It's no longer what it ought or used to be. Then, another question I have to ask is, in this apprenticeship system, you didn't consider the trend, the situation we have now. What makes some of the apprentices are not settled by their masters? Like some of them will be with their master and they will still demand high. You mentioned only where you contract the apprentice. I have a situation where my younger brother's wife apprentice started saving money with Mala. Every week she goes to save 100,000. You understand what I'm saying? So the current crop of children we have now want to get money, and some of them must have read their masters. A lot of people have been, the business have collapsed. Please, I thought that's not collapsed because of our apprenticeship program. You can find a way to factor in those things. And my brother, you about the hustle, it still goes back. Politicians are the problem we have. Their lifestyle is what is igniting this hustle. I think you need to find a way after that one also. But these boys, where I stay in Abuja, two of them stay, they script the kind of lifestyle these politicians live, but they want to replicate it. I think you find a way to the courses, add the courses. It's beyond their scope. This internet counseling, you can't because Igbo boy involve a lot of things. You will live with your master. You have to attend to okay, you have to attend to your master, wash clothes, wash motor, do everything. You can't live with your master. Tell you are going to sleep before sleep. You don't say it.
So can I answer the question? Question now, only.
Hello, our chair. Can you hear us, ma'am?
I can.
Okay.
I can.
So the panelist is asking if he can respond to the question now. If we take all the questions at once.
Okay. Okay. Should I make a response to the last person?
It's better to take all the questions in one step.
So we're asking, do we take all the questions first and then have the panelists respond to them generally?
No, I think it's better to respond individually.
Okay.
You mean individual question per time?
I think we should take all the so that we can respond to the ones that concern them.
Yeah, because of time, we have 21 minutes to round up.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe we take all the questions and then panelists note the ones that concern them and respond to it at once.
Okay. All right.
We save within time. Okay. So the next question, please. We have questions from the audience.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, presenters. My name is Dominic. My question, this one goes to all the presenters. It is about the methodology. There must have been a method you use in reaching out to the people involved and extracting the data that you analyzed and are presenting. So, like Chair Gozim, you said you use a qualitative method, but you didn't state whether it is pre-interview. You made mention about where you went and you asked questions. Is it as a result of going to interview or participating in observing them? So we need to know all these things. And since I've been here, they have been talking about ethical considerations, and I've come to learn that it is very, very important. Like in the area of researching crime and all other vices, we need to get a kind of consent from them. I don't know if ethical considerations were taken into consideration during this research. Then to Chair Gozem again, you talked about the Koso Kingdom. And we know that there are so many Koso kingdoms in Nigeria. You know, we are now looking at Igbo Apprenticeship. You know, when you go to the Malam Forest, it is their own kingdom. If you go to main market, even though you have Igbo kingdom, you also have specific kingdoms based on maybe towns, maybe or cities. And I will now bring in the issue of cybercrime, which is a general thing. You understand? It has nothing to do, it is not an only Igbo thing. So it is like something that was learned and is now being modified. So how do you reconcile the idea that cybercrime in Nigeria is a general thing, not even Nigeria, it's a general thing, then relating it now to Igbo apprenticeship that is specific. When you went to US Embassy, you saw Nigerians that have been denied, not Igbos. So how do you reconcile this? Thank you.
Thank you to all the presenters. Thank you to all the presenters. My worry is with Chigozie. Because of what the last commenter raised, that it seems as if you are narrowing this crime to Ndi Igbo alone. Calm down. It seems as if you are narrowing Igbo boy, because immediately you mentioned Igbo boy, it is for the Igbos and nobody, no group at all. So when you are using the Igbo boy and hustling, it seems as if you are saying it is only the Ndi Igbo that are handling it or coming into it. The next one is from, how do they get into that agreement? How do they get into the agreement? How do they recruit the young boys? So that parents will learn and know exactly what to do to see that their children don't go into all this crime. And then what you narrated is very, very painful. The young man will hustle and pay the master. How? Why? I don't understand. Thank you.
All right, thank you. My question is going to be questions and also a comment. The fourth presenter, please. I want to say this, like the others who have the question have commented. The ethical issues about your research, you need to put that into consideration. Though you are not centering your distance on the Igbo zero, but you're only adopting the formalization of which this crime or these guys are doing their business. That is what we are trying to extort, not because it's a particular business. But now, the way it's going to be perceived when it's eventually published, you need to do a little bit to benefit that. And secondly, the mission of this your research, because you have even taught me a lot of things, I've learned when it comes to issue of these, cyber crimes and the idea where these guys are, getting the idea and their mode of operandi. And also, one of the speakers, maybe the first speaker online, are talking about this gender exclusion. Yes, I remember, this is an informal sector. There is no way, if these activities, the apprenticeship still remain an informal sector, it will be very difficult to be recognized until it becomes formalized. Probably, you have a school. After school, maybe you have a model when students close from school in the daytime and in the evening, government recognize that where they can be fixed and be formally recognized. So it will capture those that are being exempted from
Hmm? People can respond, sir. The internet, people can respond. Yes.
Can
But the
I?
people can start responding.
Hello,
Respond, yes. Yes. Hi.
Samuel. Are you okay with me to respond?
Yeah, I think we should start responding. There's no time. Well, let's respond and then see how.
Okay. Thank you very much from the observation and questions. I was trying to have a lot of issues because I had a flux that affected my presentation. But my take actually is trying to think about deconstructing this Igbo Nwaboy system. Basically, if we understand it from the historical origin, that is a social institution, not just an ethics as neoliberal economic thinking is trying to make us understand it, we will be able to understand it, the integrity of the issue we are trying to handle, or the social category we are trying to describe. Now, coming to responding to a question of methodology, I was trying to look on historical sociology and the issue of comparative ethnography within Igbo culture area to be able to draw out this institution from this ontological base to be able to show the limits of the model of the discourse in behavioral economics that is trying to see it as a model or trying to see it as a ethics is more than that. But when I'm talking about issue of national enforcement and appropriation, I didn't have much time to start going to the detail of like what Samuel was trying, the angle Samuel is trying to bring it, the policy option or the policy intervention aspect. If Igbo apprenticeship, Igbo Nwaboy system is understood as it were an institution, what need to be done is how do we ethnographically rethink this thing at the national level beyond pan-Igbo society? Because the way we are seeing this thing now, like the person is having a question about issue on the crime analysis or crime data set analysis. That crime data set analysis is dragging discourse on the angle of agent principle discussion that is in neoliberal rational economics that deals on individualism. Nwaboy is anchored on kingship. And that's why he has a defect on the issue of gender inclusiveness. And kingship is anchored on the persona, Nwadiala. Slave, even slave cannot become Nwaboy in the whole historical depth. Brother is a son, is a person, is somebody that has been categorized in the first instance can become Nwaboy. And that has and that signals that exclusivity of it to the kingship patriarchal lining and reckoning of belonging. But coming forward now in the modern society, in the modern economics, in the modern economic and in the level of national economic development plan, if we have to deconstruct this system, now what are the foundations that modulate or set the modus operandi of operation? Is issue of trust, family trust, that is not backed up on contract. Like what Samuel bringing and the legal aspect, if this thing can be harnessed, studied, and be looked into as a system of growing market and preserving market expansion within territory, it will help, one, on market preserving democracy and market preserving federalism. And that will bring up the issue of making it more formal or more formalizing it in a more concrete content that one can look on and retrieve and can expound to test run it as it grows. And that will help us come out from the danger of essentializing it as Igbo, but rather bringing it to a broader base, a broader usefulness to a national development plan. Because the way we are handling it and the way we are narrowing it on apprenticeship angle is so much essentializing some certain social economic behavior to be of Igbo. It's not necessarily Igbo. You don't have to make it exotic about Igbo. No. Yes, it's a system that evolved from Igbo. It's a system of market trade that is a match from Igbo being in the world, Igbo civilization, Igbo culture. Now, bringing culture talk in economics from the real perspective of how it evolved, helps us see the pitfall and how to expand it legally. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, Dr. Omanchi, would you like to respond?
Yes, my question was on gender inclusion, and to do that, we said we need the model need reorientations on the patriarchic emphasis on male-dominated society, so that these can mentor more female, and alongside encouraging entrepreneurship among female students. And as I said, it can be alongside media after school, they go to this, but emphasizing especially for women, it will not be inclusive at all, which would open the space for female gender to also participate at the bottom along.
Thank you. Please, may I make a response to the very first question that came in? Sorry, it depends on, I don't know. I'm sorry if my presentation on behalf of Barrister said indicated that it is just about the apprentice. Please, the law, having a legal contract is binding upon the two parties. That is the master and the apprentice. Actually, the methodology that was used is interview. About 25 people were interviewed. Even some of the respondents who successfully completed the apprenticeship period and were settled by their Oga, they also mentioned that there were some of their mates who didn't graduate with them. They were sent away for some reason. Their madam did not like the boys and they were sent away. So we are not saying that, the paper is not saying that there are no situations where the apprentice cheats or embezzles or defrauds the master, but we are looking at the numbers now. There are more cases where the masters renege on settling their apprentices. Not that sometimes there are no reasons, but then we also, most of us, we are Christians, or we are still Christians, and if we remember the parable of the prodigal son, when he eventually wasted all the money that was given to him, he came back and the father also welcomed him back. So sometimes we ask ourselves, what if it were my son that embezzled my money? Am I going to lock him away? Am I going to send him away? Am I going to allow him to be useless all his life because he stole my money? So what we are trying to do is to find a balance, because it is called mwa boy. It is not just called boy, it's mwa boy. What it means is that that child is coming to your house as your child. It is your duty to mentor him. Thank God for technology today. People can take stock. There are what do you call them? Apps with which people can keep stock of what they have in their shops. So it's even more difficult for those boys to steal, as it used to be in those days where people just come and count, one after the other. But now there is a way that these things can be handled. But at the end of the day, we are saying, yes, children, even our own biological children, make mistakes. So when these mistakes are made, how are they settled? Sometimes in the olden days, when that thing started, those boys and their parents will go to oracles and report. They'll go to deities to report. The deities will invite and force the masters to settle them. But we are looking at the numbers. There are more masters who are reneging on the contracts than the apprentices who are doing the same. So, but what this paper is trying to do is to make it enforceable in such a way that the law is binding both on the apprentice and the master. So any of them that goes back on his own obligation, has a penalty, which is going to be recognized by law. So we're only trying to legalize all this. let the court be in the position to say, okay, what this apprentice has done, he does not deserve any settlements, or he deserves little settlements. Something like that. Let the power not rest with the master to say, oh, this thing you have done for insulting my wife, get out, and that is the end. After serving for 5 years, that's what the paper is trying to say. I hope I'm able to do justice to this.
Creating a penal code.
Yes, we have to end in exactly 2 minutes. So maybe we give our concluding speeches and round up. We can continue. We can continue outside of. I don't know if it's feasible. But in exactly 2 minutes, we have to end this.
I respect my questions.
Okay.
Okay, please respond to your question in 2 minutes. Like
all right.
1 minute.
First of all, I want to thank us. It was an oversight. I was not focusing the Awesome Kingdom to be something that is Igbo-based alone. That was not what I was doing. I was trying to a framework, a model per se. Then secondly, someone was asking me about how they get into agreement. It's very simple. I mentioned earlier, people see the lifestyle of other people, and maybe through friends and the rest of them, they get to know. Sometimes parents are in support of their children, keep them from. And talking about an ethical consideration, like I said, it was basically interview. I wasn't going in to join a conversation. I went for an interview, and it was well stated that people, please, I'm doing a research, and I want to help you. So I think I'll have to stop there. And again, on the issue of legalizing internet fraud, someone that the parents is not rich, most times someone going to Waboy is a poor person. So how do you expect him to go to court and get tied up? In most cases, sir, that is the truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You can say that after the session, please, because we have to end right now. Our chair, we're ending because our time is up.
It's
Thank you
okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Our online audience and participants in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.